So we came back and we were successful. I was successful. And we had a ski boat and we had, motorcycles, and I used
to toys.
had the toys, and we're, doing what we wanted to do, and had lots of free time in the summer. We just, you would think that we really had it made, but the longer I went, I know now, the longer I tried to make that my life work without the Lord, it was just all empty. I was never satisfied. I've always had this compulsive nature. I have it yet to this day. But now I use it for good, for the right. But in those days, I began to just open myself to anything that would give me pleasure. I began to drink massive amounts. It didn't interfere with my work, but on Saturdays and Sundays and in evenings, I was consuming huge amounts of alcohol. And then later we began to use marijuana, and all the things I turned to were they just were not. It was getting worse. I was getting more unhappy, not happier.
You were trying to fill a void or something.
Yeah. And I've heard people say that, and it's not in the Bible exactly like this, but it said that we're born with a God-sized hole in us, and if we don't fill it with Him, we fill it with something else. Well, that's maybe kind of a redneck way to explain it, but I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And I was trying to fill it with all the wrong things, and then something happened to my wife. And I didn't know what it was at first. She's just different. I can't put my finger on it. Then I realized she's not just acting different, she is different. She began to be so patient with me.
Oh no.
and I began to press her to see where's the end of this patience.
Yeah.
She would never fuss at me. She would never scold me. She would never threaten me. She became so sweet. It was like honey, and honey. And then I realized she had been going to a Bible study now we're living in the house that we still live in now. Right. And there was a lady across a lake, Helen Dunnigan, and they were having a Bible study for some ladies, and Kathy was going, and I realized that was the source of this change in my wife. Well, instead of being thankful, the jerk that I was, I thought, I'm going to break it. I'm going to break it, because I realized I think she's got a hold of the Lord. And if this is the real thing, she's going to be going one way and I'm going to be going another way.
And yet you were dissatisfied before.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And so the more unreasonable I got, the sweeter she got. And she would never raise her voice to me. She would never be upset with me. And I finally got where she would go to Bible study, and I would begin to think of things that had to be done before she could ever leave the house. I need this, I need this, I need this. Yeah. And she saw what was happening. She recognized spiritually what's happening. I didn't. All I knew is I'm trying to keep her. And finally, I became so antagonistic to this lady that taught. I used to call her the Deadly Helen. I said, you're going up to the Deadly Helens. And at one point I said, why don't you just live up there if that's what you're going to do? I mean, I'm just really being a jerk. And she's just being so sweet. Now I know she's filled in her heart, in her spirit, with that Holy Spirit. And I was the antithesis. I was the opposite. Finally, I realized something's got to change. Yeah. And I know that it's got to be me. Yeah. We went away to a conference, to a sales meetings. We did that twice a year. And for me, it was just party. Coming home from Chicago, Illinois, driving home. This other fella and I, we were partiers together, and we were both so miserable. And we began to share with one another the times that we had made promises to God and hadn't kept them. Can you imagine two sinners? And that's what you're talking about together. And we're both opening up to one another. And of course, the number one thing was the thing that I promised at my wedding, and it was not happening. And I came home under such awful misery. The next morning was Good Friday, and my wife came in and said, honey, I went to a service last night, and the man that spoke was really, really wonderful. I think you'd like him if you'd like to go to church with me tonight. And she left. She walked out. She didn't wait for my answer. And so I'm hollering at her. She's already gone. Well, no, I can't. No, I'm busy. I'm too busy. I can't. Well, my work was with schools. It was Good Friday. I'm not busy. They're all closed. And Pastor Wayne, for the first time, it really settled in my heart. And I said to myself, who knows, maybe this is the time for me. And so I told her, I said, I'll go. Well, she wasn't happy or glad or anything. She just said, okay. And she went in the other room. I found out later what happened. She got on the telephone. She's calling all the ladies from the Bible study. Pray, pray, pray. My husband said he's going tonight. Well, they've been praying for me. I didn't know it. In fact, on that very day, I found out later, the Lord put it on 5 people's hearts to fast and pray for my salvation. God just did that together. I mean, God is so amazing.